Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a crochet pumpkin using granny squares. The free written pattern can be found on my website at julesandjones.com, and you can find a link for that in the description box below. Alright, here are some of the materials that you are going to need to make this crochet pumpkin. Some of the materials that you're going to need for this pattern is you're going to need some filling. Now I'm just using your basic polyfill filling. You're also going to need 2 skeins of a number 5 bulky weight yarn. I'm using Lion Brand Hubless Me yarn in the color Desert for this tutorial. You're also going to need some worsted weight brown yarn, and this is for the stem of your pumpkin, so just 1 skein is needed. And you're going to need a 8.0 millimeter crochet hook, which is a size L. You're also just going to need a pair of scissors to cut in between yarns, a darning needle, and 1 stitch marker. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our tutorial. So before we begin, I just quickly wanted to note how this crochet pumpkin pattern comes together. But essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be making 4 starburst granny squares. The 4 starburst granny squares are made using double crochets, puff stitches, and bobble stitches. Okay, so once you've made 4, then we're going to seam them together using the slip stitch method. And then after that is done, we fill our pumpkin with polyfill, we tie it up, add a couple of knots, and then we're ready to make the stem. And so the stem is made using the worsted weight brown colored yarn, and so it's a little bit difficult to see, but it's actually a mini yarn hank. So I did just post a tutorial about this. So I'm going to be using a pre-made one in the tutorial, but I'll go ahead and link it up here so you can go ahead and view how to make this mini yarn hank. All right, and so all we're going to do is we are going to attach it to the middle of the pumpkin. You can either glue it or you can attach it with some yarn. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so our first step in our pattern is to make our 4 starburst granny squares. This is what it looks like, and so this is what you're going to make. And so it's made of double crochets, puff stitches, and bobble stitches. And then we've got a half double crochet border and a single crochet border. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off by making a magic circle. If you don't want to do a magic circle, you can also chain 5 slip stitches to the first chain and then work your double crochets within the chain. Okay, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to be showing you how to do a magic circle. So go ahead and take the tail end of your yarn. You're just going to put it over your 3 fingers. So a little bit of a tail end is at the end. Okay, and you're just going to wrap it around your 3 fingers, cross it in the back, wrap it around your fingers, cross it in the middle, hold it with your thumb just like that. Then flip it over, take your crochet hook, go underneath the first strand, over the second one, pull, twist, scooch that first strand a little bit, go underneath the second one, take your finger to hold the strand of yarn and then go underneath it again, just like that. And then you can pull that strand out, and now you've just created a magic circle. And so the tail end actually closes the circle for a magic circle. Okay, and so now what we want to do is we want to chain 2. So I like to count that first one as my second chain, but you're more than welcome to make another chain. And this chain also counts as our first double crochet, and we need to make 16, so we have to make 15 more. 4 double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the magic circle, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and yarn over, pull to the next 2 loops. Okay, so we've got 2 double crochets. Now just continue to do that until you have 16 total. Once you have 16 double crochets, go ahead and pull that tail end to close your circle. And then you want to make a slip stitch into that second chain. So here's my second chain. Go ahead and insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop, and then pull through the second loop for a slip stitch. And now we've completed our first row. So now we're going to work our second row, which are puff stitches. So go ahead and chain 2. Okay, and we're going to find our first spot, which is right here. So we're going to insert our hook into the same space where our chain came from. Okay, So for puff stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into that spot, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so it's the height of the chain. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same spot, yarn over, pull through. One more time, yarn over, insert our hook into the same spot, yarn over, pull through. You should have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and then yarn over one more time to close your stitch. Okay, so to close your puff stitch. Now you want to do that all the way around your circle until you have 16 total. Okay, so let's go ahead and make another one together. Yarn over, insert your hook into the following stitch, yarn over, pull through to the height that the previous bobble stitch is, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, insert your hook once more into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through. Make sure you have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over and pull through all 7 loops. Yarn over once more to close the stitch. Okay? All right, so just continue to do that until you're right here towards the end. Once you've made all 16 puff stitches, we are going to slip stitch it to the space after the first puff stitch, okay? So not here, but if you pop open these stitches just a little bit and you hold it like this, you'll find that space, and you're going to insert your hook and you're going to make a slip stitch. And this way it looks a little bit more seamless. All right, so we're off to our third round. So our third round are made of bobble stitches. Okay, so go ahead and chain 2. And our bobble stitch is going to be within each space. Okay, so in the previous row, it was in those stitches. And then these are going to be in the spaces. Okay, all right, so here we go. To make a bobble stitch, you're going to yarn over, going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. So you're essentially making an uncompleted double crochet, and we're going to do that 2 more times. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook into that same space, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. So now we've got 3 because our chain 2 counts as 1 uncompleted half double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. All right, and then yarn over one more time and pull through all 4 loops on hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And pull through. And then chain 1 to close it, and then chain 1 more. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Now we're just gonna do that again, and you're gonna be doing that for every single space within your circle. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook into the next space, yarn over, pull through. Make sure you have it to the height of the previous bobble stitch. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. All right, here's our first uncompleted double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook into that space, yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through the next first 2 loops. All right, so we have 2 double crochets here, uncompleted. Yarn over, insert your hook into the space, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. Here's our 3, do it 1 more time. Yarn over, insert our hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. All right, now we have 4 uncompleted double crochets, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops because we're carrying the other loop from the previous bobble stitch. Then yarn over and insert your hook through all loops. Then yarn over 1 more time to close the bobble stitch, and then yarn over to make 1 more chain. And there you go. All right, so just continue to do that all the way around. Okay, so I just made my last bobble stitch and I've chained 2, and so now we just need to close our round. So we're going to be using a slip stitch again, and so we're going to be working a slip stitch into the space after the first bobble stitch that we made. Okay, so just insert your hook into that space, yarn over, and pull through both loops for a slip stitch. All right, so that completes round 3. So now we're going to work on our border, and our first border is made using half double crochets. Okay, and so it's a little bit similar, like if you were to make a regular starburst granny squares and you were just making the trebles, doubles, and singles, but this one just uses half double crochets. All right, so we're going to chain 2. And our first step is going to be 3 half double crochets, chain 2, 3 half double crochets, and that counts as our first corner. Okay, so we're going to make that all within this space. So for half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into that space, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that's how you make a half double crochet. All right, so let's go ahead and make 2 more. All right, and once you've made 2 more, go ahead and chain 2, and then make 3 more half double crochets all within that same space. All right, and so you should have something that looks like this. It's going to resemble a bit more of a corner. Okay, so our next step is to make 3 half double crochets in the next 3 spaces. So here's my first space, second space, and third space. Okay, so go ahead and work 3 half double crochets in the following space. 3 half double crochets in the next space. And then 3 half double crochets in the last space. All right, and so you should have something that looks like this. Okay, and so now we are just going to repeat this sequence all the way around your circle. Okay, so for the next stitch, you're going to work a corner again, which is 3 half double crochets, chain 2, 3 half double crochets, and then in the next 3 spaces, work 3 half double crochets. Then you're back at your corner again, then your spaces again, corner here, and you'll finish off with working your 3 half double crochet space. All right, so just continue to do that until you are finished, and then I will meet you right back here. All right, so I just finished working my last half double crochet, and so now all we need to do is just slip stitch it to our chain 2. Okay, so our second chain, go ahead and make a slip stitch. All right, and then we're going to chain 1 and go ahead and grab your stitch marker and place your stitch marker within that chain 1. Okay, and so now we're ready for our last row. So our last row is simply made out of single crochets. So all you're going to do is work a single crochet in each half double crochet stitch, and then once you reach a corner, make 2 single crochets to count for those 2 chains. Okay, so here is my first stitch. I'm going to go ahead and work a single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through your first 2 loops. Okay, here's my second one. I'm going to go ahead and work a single crochet. Here's my third one. Okay, and here I'm at the corner, and that is where I'm going to make 2 single crochets. All right, and then you would just flip it over and then continue to work a single crochet in every stitch until you reach your stitch marker. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you at the end. All right, so I'm here towards my end. You can go ahead and remove your stitch marker and go ahead and slip stitch it into that second chain. And there you go. Now we've completed our single crochet round. So go ahead and grab your scissors. Go ahead and cut your yarn. And then you are just going to pull it through. There we go. And now you just want to go ahead and work in your 2 tail ends before we start seaming it together. All right, and so you want to make a total of 4 starburst granny squares. So you've made 1, so you've got 3 more left. All right, and I just want to note that this starburst square is not going to be perfectly straight, but that's actually what we want because pumpkins aren't perfect, right? So I really wanted to create like a pumpkin that wasn't perfectly straight, but a little bit wobbly and chunky. All right, so go ahead and make another 3, and then we are ready for seaming. Okay, so we are ready for our seaming part. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab all 4 squares and we're going to lay them horizontally. So you want them essentially to lay like this. Now I do have step-by-step photos on this part on my website, so you can always click that link in the description box and it'll be right there for you to see, but this is what they're essentially going to look like. Okay, so we're going to grab our first 2 squares and we're going to flip the first one over so the wrong side is facing you, and then you're going to put the other one on top of it so the right side is facing you, and then you're going to take the ends and just make sure they're a little bit aligned, the sides, okay, so it looks like this. All right, and then you're going to take your yarn, because we're going to be using the slip stitch method, and we're just going to make a slip knot first. So go ahead and take the yarn, wrap it around your finger twice, take the back piece, push it over the front piece, take the front piece and push it over the back piece and over your finger, then pull tight and just keep it on your finger. Okay, and so then we're going to take our crochet hook and we're going to insert it into the back loop of the first single crochet stitch on the corner. So go ahead and insert it into that back loop. Then we are going to insert it into the other back loop of the first stitch on the corner of the other square. Then we're going to take our slip knot and we're just going to push that over our crochet hook and just pull it tight. And then we are going to carefully pull it through just like this, and then chain 1 to attach our yarn. Now there are a couple different ways you can do that, but for this particular pattern I prefer it that way. All right, so now we're just going to continue working our slip stitch method. So you're going to insert your hook into the back loop of the first stitch of the first square, then insert it into the back loop of the second square. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops of both squares and then pull it through the loop on your hook. There you go. So now you've just made 1 slip stitch. Okay, and so you just want to continue that until you have finished seaming the sides together. So let's go ahead and do it again. Insert your hook into that first loop, insert your hook into that second loop, yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops, and then pull through the loop on your hook. All right, so let's do it one more time. Insert your hook into that first loop on the first square, insert your loop into the second loop of the second square, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops of those 2 squares, and then pull through the loop on your hook. All right, and so you want to just continue to do that, and I'll just show you really quickly what it should look like, but you should have something that looks like this. Okay, all right, so just continue to do that until the end. All right, so I'm here towards my end, and all you want to do for the next part is you just want to cut your yarn, and then you are just going to pull through one more time to secure it. Okay, there you go. And so now you have 1 granny stair connected to each other. All right, so your next step is to connect the other 2. Okay, so you would connect this one and then you would connect the next one. All right, and so when you have all 4 connected, you want to then connect the outer edge of the 4th one and the first one, and you'll end up with a granny square tube. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to attach these together, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so once you've seamed all sides together, you should have something that looks like this. You're going to have a circular tube. Okay, all right, so our next step for our pumpkin pattern is to cinch both the bottom and the top. All right, so it doesn't matter which side you start with. Okay, so go ahead and just grab one of the sides, and you want to start right where we made our slip stitch. Then you want to go ahead and grab your yarn and your darning needle, and you're going to cut a length of 3 times the size of your granny square. So you would just measure like this: 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, once you've done that, go ahead and insert your yarn through your darning needle, and you're going to insert it into that first space where you ended your slip stitch. Okay, so I'm going to put it right in here. Then you want to pull through, because we're going to be weaving in and out. So you're going to pull through till you have a little bit left. Now this part is optional, but I do find it really helpful. What you can actually do is you can make a knot. Don't pull it all the way tight, and then grab your stitch marker and insert it in to that knot. And then this way, when we are weaving in and out and we're stitching, this will not pull out because your stitch marker can't go through that hole. Okay, just a little tidbit, but I find it really helpful. Okay, so once we've added our yarn to our first spot, we're going to be weaving in and out, and we're going to be weaving in the back loops. Okay, so we just put it in this one. I'm going to stick it in this way, and I'm going to pull through. And then I'm going to stick it in the other back loop like this. And you're just going to work in and out. Okay, and now I'm coming again from the back. And then the front. Now you want to do this until you've completed one side. Okay, so just continue to do that until you've completed one side, and then I'll meet you right back here. All right, so I just finished weaving in and out between my one side, and now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pull it just like this so it cinches the side, and see how this doesn't go anywhere. So it's actually really handy. All right, and the reason why we're already pulling it a little bit is because if you were to weave in and out all the way around it and then pulled it, I find that the granny squares start to bunch up and it doesn't look as good, and it also makes it really hard because I tried it and it doesn't work. Okay, so go ahead and start weaving in and out, and then once you've finished one side of the granny square, pull your yarn. All right, and just continue to do that all the way around. All right, so once you have weaved all around the edges and you've pulled, you should have something that looks like this. So now what we need to do is we just need to pull one more time on both sides to create a knot. So go ahead and remove that stitch marker if you chose to do this. And we are just gonna pull. Now this pattern in the middle will not close all the way, but that's okay because this is the bottom and you won't even see it once the pumpkin is done. All right, so just pull it, pull it, pull it as best as you can, and then tie 2 knots or more, however many it takes to make it nice and secure. Okay, and there you go. Now it should look like this. Now if the little hole does bother you, you can always grab your darning needle and you can work a few rounds within each side right here. So you would take your darning needle, put it like this, then take the other one, put it on top, and to weave it in and out, and that'll help close the inner sides a little bit more. But otherwise you are done with this part, and now it's time to put some filling into our pumpkin. All right, so once you've filled your pumpkin with filling, you then want to go ahead and singe the top. So you're going to repeat the process that we did for the bottom. So you're going to start again here in the middle where our slip stitch seam is, and you're going to weave in and out, pulling the yarn after you've finished one side. All right, so go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to do it as well, and then I will meet you right back here. All right, so once you have weaved your top end, you've cinched it together, and you've tied a knot, you should have something that looks like this. You'll have a pumpkin. All right, and I'm always so amazed how it turns out afterwards, and it's just so cute. So at this point, what you can still do is, since we use granny squares, you can actually take your fingers and you can stick it in these little holes and you can adjust it however you'd like. So I did that as well because I really kind of want like more of a poofy looking pumpkin. And so, but yeah, all right. And so our next step and final step is to add our stem. Now our stem is actually made using a mini yarn hank. So I'm not going to show you how to make this in this tutorial because I already did a step-by-step tutorial on my channel. So I'll go ahead and link it, and you can find the link on the top right-hand corner, but you're going to need one of them. And so you are going to make the mini hank with your worsted weight brown color yarn. Okay, and so what you need to do is, once you have your mini hank of yarn, you can add it 2 different ways. So you can either attach it with a piece of yarn or you can glue it. You would probably need a little bit of hot glue, okay? And if you use the glue, you just want to put a little bit right here and then stick it on there and then hold it in place until it's stuck. I prefer to use the yarn because I think it's a bit easier. All right, so you can either cut a 6-inch piece of yarn work it through the top and attach it that way. Or if you have some yarn left from when you were cinching the top together, you can do it like this. So you want to grab your darning needle with the yarn attached to it still from the top part, and you are going to work it through the top. So this is the bottom essentially, and this is the top of it, and you're going to work through all the loops just like that. Okay, and then you can just pull it through. Pull it, pull it, pull it. And then you want to take the other yarn strand from when you were cinching it on top. I'm just going to work my darning needle through here real quick. And then all you would have to do is just tie a pretty tight knot, and then tie a knot once more. Okay, and then just cut your yarn, or you can work it in your stitches, however you prefer. And then you have a cute little mini yarn hang as your stem. And there you go. And that's how you make this pumpkin pattern. All right, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed making this crochet pumpkin pattern with me. I think it's such a fun pattern because it takes a spin on the traditional crochet patterns. Instead of working rows, you're making granny squares, and that also makes it a very quick pattern. Combine that with the chunky yarn, it makes a wonderful weekend project and perfect for fall. So all the links will be in the description box below. So when you click that link, that'll go straight to my website, and that's where you can find all the notes and directions, all the materials, everything that you're going to need to make this pattern. And so I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you did like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much if you do. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, everyone.